Hello everyone, it's Rajiv and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving my book review of Elevation by Stephen King. Before I get to the book, I would just like to say that I post book-related videos every day in my channel. So if you enjoy watching this video, then please do like and subscribe. Elevation is Stephen King's one of more recent novels that released a few months back. And the story takes place in the famous fictional setting of Castle Rock, Maine, where most of his stories take place. And it revolves around this guy named Scott. Scott has a problem. He has been losing weight. Every day when he weighs himself, he is 2 to 3 pounds less than what he was the previous day. At this point, I'm already wondering if this is a newer version of Stephen King's classic novel, Thinner. Anyway, the strange thing about Scott is that he still looks completely the same and his clothes still fit the same. What's even stranger is that no matter how much additional weight he carries, his overall weight still remains the same. So basically, his mass looks the same externally, but internally, he is losing weight and feeling lighter than ever. So knowing that he is actually getting thinner by the day, Scott knows that he does not have that much time, so he tries to befriend his neighbors who are this married lesbian couple that the townspeople hate because they are mostly shown as very homophobic. Because Scott feels like he wants to get rid of all the negativity and do something that is right for once. The rest of the story basically focuses on how these characters interact with each other and eventually what happens to Scott. Before I get to my review, I should say that the review might contain possible spoilers because I'm going to be talking about the things I liked and disliked about the story. Elevation is a really short book because when I read the ebook, it was hardly 130 pages and I finished reading it in around 1.5 hours, so it felt more like I was reading a short story rather than a novel. To be honest, I really did not know how to feel about this book. For one thing, it is not a horror novel, like not even remotely. I think that in itself got me a little disappointed when I started reading this book because when I pick up a Stephen King book, I expect it to give me the chills. Elevation, in fact, is more like a fantasy feel-good novel. So there are a few things which I really did not like when I was reading the story, and one of the main reasons is the characters. The characters are so one-dimensional, where you have the stereotypical lesbian couple, where one of them is portrayed more as the manly, butch, athletic girl, and the other one is portrayed as this dainty, scared girl. The main character, Scott, is also someone who just wants to do good and help everyone in a town where all the people are homophobes and he wants to do some random act of kindness. Even for a fantasy novel, the characters are so cliched and Scott is so saccharine and sweet most of the time that I was getting so bored. Then there is no explanation provided as to why Scott is actually losing weight. It's just a random thing, I'm assuming, that suddenly happens to him. And it's so surprising on how quickly he accepts and adapts to the situation instead of freaking out. He panics for the first few pages in the story and then he just suddenly decides to accept it and rejoice it and settles down and decides to be hero and save the lesbian couple from the townspeople. The process of his mindset did not feel gradual at all, and at times I felt like I was reading about two different characters entirely. Also, it's kind of unbelievable that when he decides to help Deidre by lifting her up in the marathon, the whole mindset of the entire town just suddenly changes and they become more accepting towards the couple. I mean, come on, that sounds so unbelievable and far-fetched that you would actually expect the entire town to change their mind over this lesbian couple who they have had hatred for since they came into town. Coming to what I liked about this book, I get that Stephen King is trying to tell a feel-good story about acceptance, where he really wants anyone from any background and any preference and any orientation to get along with each other, to get along in a very idealistic way in our present society where there seems to be so much hatred and bigotry. I mean, eventually, we are all on this planet only for a limited time, so we really need to make the most of it and be kind to one another. I also like Scott's character towards the end, where he basically basically emphasizes that you should let go of all the negativity that's weighing you down and feel elevated. But I feel like the overall execution of this message in the story was very poorly done. I feel like this book is really short where you don't actually have enough time to connect to the plot, and you really can't connect to the characters' mindset because they are not clearly defined and they don't have much depth to them. So, yeah, I really like the concept and the message of the book, but I was really disappointed in the characters and the plot in general. And for that reason, I would give this book a rating of only 2.5 out of 5 stars. Have you read any of Stephen King's novels? And if so, what are your favorite books of his? What did you think of Elevation if you read it? Please do share your thoughts and comments on the section below, as I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and like I said, please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video. Bye!